It's roll time, baby. We got me, Manoobs, against Bear. Now, Bear's been on an amazing weight loss journey here at Mage Fitness. He's down about 20 pounds in the last 5 weeks, but I've still got a size disadvantage since I'm tiny. I'm giving up about 30 pounds, but I've got a experience advantage. So let's see what happens. We tie up, I get my underhook, I go for a very lazy step-through trip, and Ted does a great job countering that with a guillotine setup. Let's take another look. I go for this trip, he keeps his balance, and then he counters it by getting a hold of my head and jumping into this guillotine. So great job by Ted. Here's where the submission goes wrong, okay? First off, I've got my hips high in the air. He's actually got pretty decent pressure around my neck, even with him doing the finishing mechanics incorrectly. But there's enough pressure on my neck that I need to get my butt high up in the air to relieve that choking pressure. So that's one way you can kind of defend this type of a choke here, is by getting your hips high. What he does wrong, okay, his chest needs to be glued to my upper back, covering up the back of my neck. So you shouldn't even really be able to see the back of my neck or my upper back, because his face and chest should be attached there. With the arm-in guillotine, you want that attachment. He's doing more of a no-arm guillotine, kind of stretching me, which allows me to pop my head out. If Ted would have covered up my head, he might have been able to get that arm-in finish. But he went for the wrong mechanics, tried to stretch me, I popped my head out, and here we end up in half guard. Now, while we're in half guard, I'm just kind of feeling, will he give me a head and arm setup? No, he didn't. I tried to isolate his arm for a moment. He didn't let me. So I'm here by his legs, so I go for a really terrible kind of little roll to look for his back. Ted does a really good job being heavy and also keeping control of my leg, okay? So it doesn't allow me to roll through, but something I want to point out here, we'll take another look. I realize I can't roll through, and notice what I do with my feet, okay? Anytime you try to roll through, if you can bring your feet back over the top of their legs, it's going to give you a really good chance of keeping top position if your roll fails. And in this case, I was able to keep mount, which was great. I start to isolate his arm. Notice here, I have no hip connection to the back of his arm. It's kind of on purpose, so I can give him a chance to work defense. But notice, there's no way I'm going to get this arm bar. I've got no hip connection. It's super loose and sloppy, and he easily is able to bridge and turn. And look, I don't even have, not even half of his arm, okay? I still want to sit back and allow him to work and see what he's going to do. As he comes up, his other arm's available, so I switch to the other side. Now, right here, I would have this finish. I don't go for the finish here for reasons of safety. Okay, I know my training partner has not had enough reps defending the arm bar from this position. And it's obvious because instead of stacking me here, he goes to straighten up and pull his arm out, which allows me to go for that arm bar even more. So because of that, I just kind of keep a hold, and then as he starts to pull out, I just relinquish, just let him pull out, and instead of stretching his arm and maybe causing a little extra pain or potential injury, I let him come out and keep working. And I think that's a great attitude to have when you're rolling, especially with somebody less experienced with you. Put the ego aside. You don't need to go for the kill just because you have it. It's better to relinquish, keep it safe, and allow yourself to get a finish somewhere else. So here we end up on bottom side. He's looking to isolate an arm, and then I use this opportunity to push his arm across. So let's take another look here, okay? He's got a hold of my head. You see what I'm doing, pushing on his arm? Once you get their arm across to your other side here and keep some tension pushing against that arm, notice he's going to try to pull his arm back, and that's when I roll him. There's so much stuff you can do from this position at bottom side, having that cross-face arm pushed across to the other side of your body. I've got a few instructionals on the Mage Fitness channel with what to do from that position, so check those out. I love being on bottom side here, okay? Easy sweep opportunity. As soon as I feel his arm pull back, about right here, he starts pulling his arm back, that's when I roll. He's completely off balance. You can get much bigger, stronger people off of you and roll into top side from that position just by having control of that arm. So here I am, top side again. I'm just kind of looking to see what he's going to give me. I start to step over. I'm thinking, maybe Kimura, maybe armbar. But I'm giving him a chance to work. He hasn't had too much opportunity to defend submissions. We've worked a lot more positional stuff, so just kind of want to see what he does here. He does a good job bridging, you noticed. He tried to bridge and roll. I stayed with it. I'm kind of looking for a Kimura, and then I realized it's better just to sit here into this arm bar. Okay, so notice I've got one leg across his head. Now I go for this. Here's the chance where he could have easily gotten out of this arm bar. He's got room with his head to start turning into me. He just doesn't. And now I make him pay for it a little bit by pushing my leg into his face. So he's now trying to come into me, but he can't. Because now I've got that pressure with my right leg across his face, and I get the tap. Let's take one more look at this arm bar. I know it's been tons of replays, but we got some good technique here to go through. So notice, okay, right here, I have no connection to Bear's face. He could be easily turning and looking toward my leg, turning his head into me, and slipping that arm through. So he could have been defending that arm bar and getting out immediately. Okay, now's when he starts to make his move, but notice I'm now going to counter that by leaning to my right because it makes my right leg heavy across his face. Also notice it's the side of my leg pushing against his face. Okay, I'm not straightening my leg and putting the hamstring itself over his face. I'm actually flaring my knee out to the right and using that pressure to press the side of my leg against his face. I think that's an important concept to understand with arm bars. It's not always trying to, straighten your leg over their face or use your hamstring. A lot of times you're flaring your knee outward and using kind of the side of your leg to keep that separation between their face and their hand. So now as he comes into me, I'm flaring my knee out heavy, which keeps him at bay and allows me to stretch that arm and get the tap here.